A very good morning to all the participants. I welcome you all for this fourth session of 1 week International FDP on control theory and applications. Today's resource person is Dr. I. Tirunov Karasu. Dr. I. Tirunov Karasu was born in 18th August 1981 at Kanchipuram. Presently is working as Associate Professor Senior Scale in the Department of Instrumentation and Control at MIT Manipal. He has 15 years of teaching experience, 9 years of research experience. He completed his diploma with honors in electronics communication in 1999. He joined as a lateral entry candidate for BE Instrumentation and Control in 2002 from Madras University. He obtained his ME from Annamalai University and completed his PhD from Manipal University. During 2018, he served as a visiting professor in Department of Chemical Engineering, Ryerson University, Canada. He is a recipient of DST Fast Track Grant for Young Scientists from Government of India during the period of 2013-16. Presently, he is working on a sponsored project from ISRO, Government of India, towards nonlinear control design for quadrator during 2019 and 21. He has received postdoctoral grant from MAHE towards nonlinear control design SMC for nonlinear process during Jan 2013-14. He has received seed money grant from MAHE towards establishing coolant flow rate for nonlinear process. He has also organized 2 workshops, conferences, FDPs in the area of control theory, control systems, and process control. He also got the grants from various organizations like ISRO, DRDO, ONGC, ACT, and National Instruments. 2 of his PhD students has completed their PhD work in the year 2018. Another 2 PhD students has submitted their thesis in 2020. Presently, 2 PhD scholars are working under Dr. I. Tirunov Karasu. He has published his research articles in peer-reviewed SCA publications like American Chemical Society, Materials Today, MatTech Web of Science, Springer publications. He is also a member of professional bodies like senior member in IEEE, ACS member, ACDOS member, ISTE, SSI, ISSC, etc. He has also participated in his research work in various conferences held worldwide, including USA, Canada, Germany, Italy, London, Bahrain, Oman, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and France. With this brief introduction, I welcome Dr. I. Tirunov Karasu for this 1 week FDP on control theory and applications. I welcome you, sir.
So, thank you, Mr. Sarath. Good morning, one and all, for all the participants in the 1 week International FDP on advanced control theory. Today's I'm going to talk on the energy minimization and actuator related issues with the pilot plant operation. So I'll share some of the experimental work which we carried out with the funding from DST of the project Investigation Physical Realization of 2 degree of freedom PID with anti-reset wind-up for fast acting control loop. Let us start with this project, and I'll share some interesting results which we obtained regarding the energy conservation and the actuator efficiency improvement. Okay, then we'll slowly move into the multi-input, multi-output process, modeling and controller design. Then we'll go for some nonlinear heat exchanger pilot plant setup which we have in the laboratory. So I'll give some glimpses on some advanced control algorithm which we got some interesting results for the linear and nonlinear systems. Okay, so hope audience can able to see the screen and I'm audible. Okay, let us go into the topic. First, we'll make the geographical identification. Manipal means normally they think it is in the Sikkim or somewhere. So we are located in the southern part of India. Okay, and we are located nearby Mangalore, which is well connected with the air, railways and sea. And we are at Manipal, which is 60 kilometers away from the Mangalore. And presently we are at the 45th, the new ranking, and QS ranking 700 plus. And, we got the institution of eminence from the MHRD. This is about the institution. And let us go into the problem. So many of the control engineers, when they work with the physical Planck implementation of their algorithm. Okay, so they have to encounter the problem and some of the issues with the actuators. Not only the control valve, in some cases, if they're going for the pneumatic control valve, pneumatic actuator, the control valve is going to be the element. Else, some will encounter with the electrical motors, okay, or pneumatic or hydraulic. Okay, so it depends upon what condition they are using. Okay, still the pneumatic and hydraulic are still used as an actuator apart from the electrical actuators like solenoid valve, okay, and direct acting pump. That means directly I can give the 420 milliamps to the pump, and pump will operate from minimum to maximum speed. Okay, there is no need of solid state relay. Okay, but it is costly. It comes around, the pump comes around 80 to 1 lakh rupees. Okay, that means directly I can connect the 4 to 20 milliamps to the pump, and the pump, that means the control valve, pneumatic control valve is replaced with the electrical pump. Directly I can give the 4 to 20 milliamps as input to the pump. Okay, so it will operate. I can recalibrate the maximum and the minimum speed of the pump. Okay, so that based on the requirement, it's like adjustable speed. Okay, so I can fix the minimum and maximum RPM of the pump for the given 4 to 20 milliamps. It's like a peristaltic kind, but it will be the peristaltic also operated with the same kind of feature. But peristaltic pump are meant for the minimum flow. But when you're going for the direct pumping, it is like I can able to operate from few liters to 10 to 15 liters per minute. Okay, so that means a huge quantity I can go. That is a huge version of the peristaltic pump. So now actuator saturation. So what is called as actuator saturation? Normally we'll encounter the, when you're going with the simulation, we'll get a nice response with respect to the transfer function or with respect to the state space or with respect to the differential equation or partial equation which you are modeling. That means either the linear way or the non-linear way. We get a very good satisfactory simulation response in simulation. But once if you're going for real time, we might have here the simulation, the real time results will vary widely. Not only because of the non-linearity, there are some certain issues with the actuator saturation. Means always when you are simulating the any algorithm in Simulink or in M-File, we have to put a limitation to the manipulated variable. Manipulated variable is the controller signal. Okay, whenever the control signal is coming out, we should not consider as it is a 0 to infinity or minus value to the positive value, because in reality, any of the physical actuator will work minimum 0, maximum 100% efficiency. Okay, it cannot work beyond 0 and it can below 0, and it cannot work beyond 100. So there is a limitation. That means this is the constrained problem. Whenever you are going for your real-time system, it's a constrained problem because I have to put a constraint on the manipulated variable. The minimum is 0, maximum is 100. Not only 0 to 100. So there are some certain cases we can able to limit beyond that. Anyway, we will discuss it in the forthcoming slides. That's what the first point I displayed is the actuator saturation occurs in a motion control system when any of its components reaches their maximum capacity. Okay, that means either it's a moving object. Okay, either the control valve or the speed of the pump. Okay, once if it reaches the maximum capacity, saturation happens. Okay, actuator saturation. It cannot beyond it cannot work beyond 100 or below 0. Okay, that's what we call it as a actuator saturation. Occurs when any of the components reach their maximum capacity. Okay, any of the component. I'm not telling control valve. You can pneumatic, hydraulic. Okay, so anything. So saturation often occurs in a control loop when a step position command is given due to large error and the command is initiated. I will explain it in brief. So when the actuator saturation will happen, sometimes I suggest put always a saturation block in the simulation also. Okay, whenever you are wherever the control algorithm comes or the manipulated variable comes, put a saturation block, limit it to 0 to 100. So sometimes it will be the actuating signal will be well within 0 to 100, maybe at a steady state of 40, 45, 30, 35, anywhere. Okay, but what will happen whenever we give a step change? Okay, in control system we cannot accept the controller as well as the process variable with the single set point operation. Okay, we should go for the servo and regulatory to validate whether the control algorithm is capable of tracking different set point operations. So when you move the operating point from one operating point to the second operating point, obviously suddenly the error will increase. That means I'm maintaining at 35 or 40. Suddenly I'm giving 57 or 58. Okay, what will happen? The error becomes large suddenly. Once if the error becomes large, the controller tries to put the maximum effort, and the control signal going to the going to the actuator will be suddenly rises. Okay, so there will be a sudden spike will be there. So what will happen? If it goes to the 100, sometime it will retain at 100. Okay, if it goes to the of 0, sometime it will retain at the 0 itself. It won't come back. That means the control loop concept got broken. Okay, that means set point, error detector, controller output to the saturation block to the process feedback to the error detector. Okay, the closed loop control system will be there. Once if the actuator saturation happen, the closed loop got failed. That means the closed loop will not function anymore. Once if the actuator goes for the saturation, obviously that leads to the process to the unstable mode. Okay, so that means normally when we encounter the saturation problem, whenever there is a step change given due to the large error, okay, the actuation may happen. Anyway, we will discuss briefly with the simulation as well as the real-time process. A PID controller is often used in many real-time process over the years. Okay, almost 160 years of existence of PID. Still 90% of the industrial loops are PID in nature. Okay, so and they say even though the 90% of the loops are PID in nature, 95% of the industrial problems can be addressed with the PID controller. Okay, the literature says. Okay, so 95% of the industry problem can be addressed with the PID, but 5% are going to be the more constrained and constrained problem that will be deal with the advanced control topics. Okay, so anyhow we'll discuss it further. The conventional control tends towards a good reference tracking but lacks in robustness. Okay, where energy utilization of actuator is high and infused in area due to integral action. Even the title what I said is minimization of actuator energy. Okay, so I'll come to the point. So when you are using a conventional controller, what are the conventional controller? If you go for the PIPD, PID, okay, so 2 degree of freedom, etc., all are conventional control algorithms. Okay, IMC. Okay, so when you're going for the conventional control, I can able to get a good reference tracking. Whatever reference you give, so nicely it will track it. But what we have to focus is the tracking should happen with the minimum energy. The tracking should happen with the minimum energy. Okay, we should not put a high energy to maintain the reference tracking. Okay, so that's where the as well as the real-time process are often tend to perturbations. Okay, we often work in the control system with the simple transfer function, right? Single transfer function. We analyze the entire thing. Okay, steady state, rise time, settling time, peak time, maximum peak, overshoot. Most probably we will fail to give the uncertainties. Means a robustness check. Okay, what is the simple robustness check? The plant parameters are going to vary continuously. None of the plant is going to be static. There will be a mild variation, okay, or it moves from one operating point to the second operating region. That means the simple. If you're having it as a first order process with the dead time, the k tau theta value is going to vary continuously. In case of second order system, zeta, omega, and etc. are going to vary continuously. Okay, so always whenever the control algorithm which you propose or which you are going to simulate it, which is existing from the literature survey, we have to take care whether the system has the robustness. Robustness means either the system is capable of withstanding the uncertainties which is entering into the system, either in the process gain or time constant or in the dead time, or if you're going for the second order system. Okay, that means if you're going for CST or continuous tank reactor, most probably the reaction which is going to take place is similar to the second order system. Okay, the natural frequency and the zeta is going to take place in that. Anyhow, it's a nonlinear process. Once if you're going for the steady state, we can observe the response of the CSTR is going to be in terms of the second order system. Okay, so zeta and omega n. Okay, that's what I'm telling. That means in that case, zeta and omega n, okay, varies non-linearly. Okay, so we have to check for all the controllers which you design whether it follows the robustness. Okay, that means it should give the good tracking references with the minimum energy utilization. Okay, and it should not happen with respect to the integral action. I'll come to the problem statement directly. Okay, what is called as the actuator saturation? Either the control signal goes to the 100 and retains at 100, or the control signal goes to 0 and it retains at 0 for a long time. Okay, then we call it as a times remains constant at 100 or 0 for a long time. We call it as a saturation. The technical term which we use in the process control is wind up issue. Okay, what is called as wind up issue? The same thing. Okay, the wind up issue, the actuator goes to the saturation. Why the wind up issue is happening? Because of the sudden rise in the controller action, because of the sudden release of the integral action, the overall control signal will be raised. Okay, so when you're writing a PID form, so I will write, I think last 2 days you were discussing with the various conventional control algorithms in time domain and frequency domain. If you're going for the PID, how we'll write? Okay, M of T is the controller action. That means the overall system output. M of T is equal to KP process. Okay, the proportional gain multiplied by 1 plus 1 by Ti E of T. Okay, that means 1 means E of T. KP will be overall. Okay, E of T plus 1 by Ti E of T plus TD E of T plus bias will be there. Okay, so what will happen? The second term, integral term. Okay, this is the main issue for the wind up which is happening in the PID controller. Okay, the wind up issue mostly happens with the PID controller because of the presence of the integral action. So what it does, the integral action, you can see here, that means I'm not writing the entire control algorithm. I'm showing only for the error with respect to the KI. So why the PID is existing for a long time in the process industries? Because the controller which takes action based on the present error, past error, and the future error. Okay, so the past error is the integration. That means what is the integration? It's a summation. Okay, 0 to T. That means for a particular time period, it is going to sum up all the error. Okay, and then it is going to give the output. That means before the integration gets over, the integral action will not give the output. Means what I want to say, if you are going for a PID controller, proportional plus integral plus derivative. Okay, the summation of proportional plus integral plus derivative is going to give the output along with the bias. Okay, so proportional will lack then and there. Okay, whenever the error goes, proportional controller will output will come. Even derivative will give it, because the only delay happening in the PID controller is due to the action of the integral action. So if you observe it, we should not observe the PID output as a single block PID output. Okay, always do not use the PID blocks given in any software tool. Try to fabricate yourself. Anyway, I'm going to show it in the future slides. Put a scope for the P, put a scope for the I, put a scope for the D. Okay, and then add all together K plus P plus KP plus K plus KD. Okay, take the summer out. So what will happen? You can able to see the system output of proportional and derivative coming fast, and the integral action will be coming slowly. Okay, so what will happen? This KI, the integration, overall integration should be completed. Then only the integral action will give the output signal. Okay, so what will happen when the integral action is giving the output signal? The control signal will suddenly move from one point to the another point with the maximum movement. Okay, so that's the reason why the PI controller will result with the anti-reset wind up issue. And so the main solution what we are going to give for the wind up issue is to implement the 2 degree of freedom anti-reset wind up. Okay, wind up is the issue, and anti-reset is the solution which you are going to give it. Anyway, we are going to discuss it briefly. Okay, what is called as anti-reset wind up? I said, so this is the action, this controller action given by this is the control action given only by the integral controller. Okay, that is going to be very high. So we are going to do some schematic changes here. Anyway, we'll discuss it in brief. This is the structure of the PID controller. Okay, I'll brief it, why I'm telling it as a PID controller. Okay, so how I'm going to convert this loop into the PID controller. Okay, anti-reset wind up scheme in physical system along with the PA or PID controller for the fast acting control loop. So why I'm telling it as specifically for the fast acting control loop, temperature is the slow process, pressure is the faster process, level and flow are going to be the medium acting process. Mostly the wind up issue happens with the fast acting controller in a faster rate when compared to the temperature. Temperature also it happens because slowly because the system the time constant of the process output and the time constant of the controller action is not going to be the same. In that case, there will be some mismatch. So whatever my controller action given, immediately temperature will not respond. Okay, it takes its own dynamic is there for the temperature. It takes its own time to shoot up with the temperature. So before that, my actuator will be encountered with the saturation. Okay, so these are the problems encountered in the process, like a temperature or pressure. Pressure means again it's a fast acting. Once if the valve opens, immediately all the pressure will be sent out. Okay, immediately the valve has to close. It goes to the zero. Okay. Anyhow, we will encounter it in the forthcoming slides in a brief. To enhance the performance of the control loop. Okay, to enhance the performance of the control loop, which is very important. That means, not only the settling time, rise time, peak time, max and peak overshoot. To enhance the performance of the control loop means always we got to take the thing we should know is what is the difference between the time domain analysis. What is the time domain analysis? Rise time, settling time, peak time, max and peak overshoot, etc. We say. Okay, in process control, we won't go with respect to the in process control, we won't go with respect to the time domain. Okay, always we go for the dynamic performance analysis, integral square error, okay, ISTE, okay, integral square time error, ITAE, integral time absolute error, IAE, integral absolute error. Okay, one should not get confused with the why we are going for rise time, settling time, peak time, and why you are going for ISTE, okay, ITAE, IAE, etc. Okay, thing is, when you're going for the settling time, rise time, peak time, we are going to calculate it only from a particular point of time. Okay, only from a particular point of the system output, I'm going to calculate it. In case if the system has a sensor has a bias, okay, that means always when you're obtaining a signal from the real-time process, there will be some noises will be there. Okay, so in case the system output which you're getting from the physical system is having a bias in that point, okay, if there is some noise signal, okay, if there is some noise signal, my entire calculation of the rise time, settling time, peak time will go wrong. Okay, if you're going for the performance analysis, I'm not going to evaluate the system closed loop performance based on one particular point. I'm going to calculate it by adding from the entire, that means from the entire performance, okay, entire closed loop response, I'm going to calculate it. Okay, that means the entire closed loop performance error is accumulated. Okay, it's a summation of the error. Okay, that's what we call it as a okay, yeah, that means integral square error, integral time absolute error, everything with respect to the error. Okay, it's dynamic calculation. Okay, not the steady state, not the steady state calculation. What we are doing in the time domain is steady state. Only at one particular point I will calculate, I'll take it and I'll do it. Okay, so that's what in process control always we go for the performance measure. That is the reason. Okay, to eliminate the nonlinearity of the control valve. Okay, always the first time I'm using the word control valve because in our system, the physical system, what I'm having for the control conical tank as well as for the heat exchanger. Okay, so for the batch reactor, we are going to use the control valve. It has its own advantages and limitations. Anyhow, the advantages are more when compared to the limitations. Hence, we are going for the pneumatic control valve. Okay, so that has some inbuilt non-linearity because the control valve is a mass spring damper system. It's a second order system. Control valve is a second order system, mass spring and damper system. Once if you're calling it as a spring, it has its own limitations. Okay, due to aging effect, the spring constant will vary. Okay, so my non-linearity is going to vary accordingly. Okay, so this is the structure of the PI controller. Okay, so you can ask like PI controller is inbuilt. It is a positive feedback system. Okay, we tell no feedback, positive feedback leads to instability. Okay, so but in PI controller, okay, you can derive it yourself. Okay, so you can see those who study control system will go for the block diagram reduction, right? Okay, this is a positive feedback. Okay, so try to solve this loop. Okay, draw the figure, then you can solve it. You will get the PI control section. Okay, copy the figure. Later you can use the block diagram reduction. Okay, so what happens here? Forward path is 1, feedback path is 1 upon tau I s plus 1. Do the block diagram reduction. Okay, here it is positive. Both are positive means in the denominator 1 divided by 1 minus this thing. Okay, then you have to calculate the simplify it. Then you go with the there is a plus. Okay, so you simplify it, you will get the structure of the PI controller. Okay, one of the most commonly neglected undirected problem in the feedback control system. What wind up? That means I'm talking about the wind up issue now. Okay, so sorry. So wind up. Okay, one of the most commonly neglected undirected problem in the feedback control when you are going for the real-time implementation is mostly we won't encounter with the simulation because simulation. Sometimes we design the controller, we accept the result as it is comes, but we fail to analyze the system output is greater than 100, or sometimes if you see, the system controller output will be beyond 100. Okay, it will be like 300, 350, even 700 it goes. You won't bother about that because in simulation, there is no wind up is going to happen. I won't bother about the actuating signal, but when you're going for the real time, none of the actuator will work beyond 100 and below 0. You have to put a saturation limit, else your results are going to be heterogeneous. Okay, that's what I said. The most commonly neglected and undirected problem in feedback control. The controller's command exceed the physical saturation, non-linearity. So MCT, modern control theory, we study about the non-linearity. What we study, relay, okay, saturation block. Okay, so there's saturation block. We go with the different non-linearities. Okay, so friction, viscosity. Okay, so saturation, relay. Okay, hysteresis. So the different non-linearities are available, and the solution describing function we can solve. The same way the control valve, it saturation is also one kind of non-linearity. When actuator saturates, the feedback will be broken. That's what I said. The closed loop concept will be failed, and we will get the oscillatory or unstable response. Often the plant input of the control process temporarily different from the controller output. The very, very important term. Okay, for the if you want to concentrate on the anti-reset wind up, these are all not normally available in the textbook. You can refer the textbook by Practical PID Controller by Antonio Viziali from Brazil. So he has written a book, and one more author, Mayuresh Kothari. Okay, so origin by Indian, settled in US, I think. So these two professors has written a book on anti-reset wind up. So good written long. Good old years. Okay, so but good thing that Antonio Viziali book is a little recent one compared to the Mayuresh Kothari. Okay, so fine. So the temporarily controlled process, actual input of a controlled process is temporarily different from a controller output. Controller gives some input signal, but the control signal which is acting on the process is going to be different. Okay, so that we should closely monitor. Else, that's the reason we get a difference in the simulation in the real time. Okay, so how far this nonlinearity can be restricted or eliminated using different control strategy? This is a big question mark. Whatever we discussed now for last 10 minutes is ending up with the last question: how far the nonlinearity FI can be restricted or eliminated using different control strategies? Yes, let's go into the problem. Okay, so this is the setup which you have made. First thing, I said I'll continue with the last sentence which I completed in the last slide. Okay, how far the nonlinearity can be eliminated? I'm eliminating the nonlinearity with this element called as valve positioner. So we should not operate the control valve without valve positioner. Valve positioner can able to avoid the nonlinearity caused due to the friction coefficient or the spring constant variation which is happening in the control valve. Hot spring will be there in the control valve. Due to the aging effect, the control valve spring constant is going to get varied. That will be a little bit taken care by the valve positioner. Okay, so wherever you are using the control valve, do not use the control valve without the valve positioner. If you use the valve positioner, yes, the last point in the last slide can be addressed. So how far this nonlinearity effect can be restricted or eliminated using different control strategy? The control strategy is going to be different. That means it is going to give the signal to the ITP converter. This is the ITP converter. So because mostly we are going to use the electronic controller, it gives a 4 to 20 milliamps. I cannot connect it directly to the valve. Okay, give it to the ITP converter, which converts the current into the pressure. The pressure is given to the actuating signal to the blue line which is going, and this is the air regulator, which is used to restrict the amount of pressure which is coming from the compressor. Okay, almost 30 psi we will be giving, but maximum I'm going to use 3 to 15 psi here. It should be double of the control valve should always, as I supply pressure, double of its actuation. Okay, 3 to 15 is the actuating signal. My air regulator should be capable of providing at least 33 psi. Okay, double the time. Okay, 3 to 15. A little bit we keep it more because there will be some pressure leakage will be there all the time. And the work was supported by the Government of India Fast Track grant. Okay, so and we have modeled the process, and we have got it as a locally linearized model. Okay, we got the model as a first order process within that time. And you can see here, I cannot explore all the control algorithms. I'll quickly tell about the problem which we stated. I think all are clear with the problems now. That means what are the problems? The actuator will go into the saturation. So, and we should not go for the simple PID controller. Okay, we are going for the HMD based 2 degree of freedom PID. I'll explain what is 2 degree of freedom PID. Normally, the PID controller will encounter with the overshoot. If you see, always when we use a PID controller, I can able to go for the proper tracking, but always there will be a overshoot will be there. Okay, that is called as a derivative kick. Okay, when you want to arrest the PID controller to make work it as a first order system response, means it will start. Okay, the response will start and directly it goes and settles. There will not be any overshoot or undershoot. There is no damping. Okay, it comes like a over damper system and goes and settles. Not like it won't act like an under damper system. Okay, so problem is the derivative kick can be addressed by using a 2 degree of freedom. Okay, 2 degree of freedom is nothing but there will be 2 degree of freedom is advanced control structure. People should know when we call it as a simple control system and when we call it as an advanced control system. Once if you are breaking a single loop control structure and doing any alteration, it is called as advanced control. Okay, whenever you are breaking the concept of the single feedback loop and making some modification in the single feedback loop, it is called as advanced control algorithm. Now you see the set point is there. Okay, so set point a set point, controller action, and this is a disturbance. Okay, and this is the process. This is the final control element value. And here you see there is this the controller 1 and controller 2. Okay, I have mentioned it as a controller 1 and controller 2. And the plant model, I'm using it in the feedback, and then again I'm using a difference between the process output and the model output. Okay, the process means actual system, model means the mathematical model which I'm going to have. Okay, so I'm going to this is one more controller here. Okay, for the precision, and I can able to get a better response with this structure when compared to the conventional controller. Okay, so you can see here this is the control structure. Simply we are using a simple, that means the inverse of the model along with the tuning parameter. Okay, that is the control structure which you used here, and this is the control structure PID controller with the filter, which is used as GC1. And what are the parameters which you used? The filter transfer function. Okay, TI, TD. Okay, those structures are well defined here. Okay, so and this is the final proportional gain value, KC value, which you are using. And for always that means in this structure we identified the best tuning parameter lambda is equal to 3 times of the dead time. Okay, there is no necessity we have to follow a single structure of the filter transfer function. The literature in Norman Drigo, you can refer the papers of Norman Drigo. Not only now, for a decade he is working on the 2 degree of freedom. He has proposed several technique, and Ito, okay, ITO, okay, Ito, Norman Drigo. They have written several papers on the 2 degree of freedom. And okay, there are several structures given: first order filter, second order filter, and how to select the filter constant. It was addressed well by the Norman Drigo. Okay, so from 2007-8, he is working on the 2 degree of freedom before that. And Weiden Zhang from China. Okay, he is also working with the HND based 2 degree of freedom, Weiden Zhang. Okay, so and using this formula, these are the controller values which is obtained, and these are the interesting results which you have obtained in real time. This is not a simulation result. This is a real time result. So you can see here the sampling. Okay, 10 into power 4. Okay, that means the sampling is very high. The data which you have collected, because the sampling rate of my data acquisition code is 0.01 second. Hence it is like 8 into 10 power 4 learning for a long samples. Okay, fine, because the data acquisition is very fast. Because that the DAC which we used as the constraint, but presently we have a DAC code which I can define my own sampling time. Okay, so in a DAC code or DSpace. Okay, so Yokogawa has released one DAC code. Okay, so there are many DACs available. Okay, so advanced control equipments. Okay, so you can see here this is the control signal and this is the process output. Can you see we have compared 2 system output. Okay, this is with 2 different tuning parameters. Okay, you can see here. This is the reference signal is mentioned in the blue line, and red line. You can able to see this is like a properly settling, and this is the controller action. And I think this is the simple PID controller. He has made a mistake. That means a copy paste problem. Okay, student has made it. This is a simple PID controller. You can see a lot of oscillations over here, and the control signal is also oscillating. Means once if the control signal is oscillating, the actuator energy used is more. Okay, once if the actuator, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, we should go for the actuator energy minimization. You can see the actuator is keep on oscillating anyhow. Even though if it is a pneumatic actuator, the rough and tough movement of the valve will vary with the wear and tear, the cavitation, flashing, etc. Many things will happen. Okay, because the flow process. Okay, that means a cavitation, flashing is the another problem. Once if the actuators keep on oscillating, okay, it leads to the several other problems. Okay, so here we are getting a smooth controller action compared to this. And once if I'm making the MV as constant, I can able to get a better PV also. Okay, this is the 2 degree of freedom PID. Okay, this is what he has done here. Okay, one is 2 degree of freedom PID, one is HN50 based 2 degree of freedom PID. Okay, so once if you're coming for the 2 degree of freedom PID, concentrate here. I mentioned the EI, integral error. I'm not talking about the overall error. I'm talking about the integral error. Integral error is okay. KC by TI E. This is the integration plus this is the saturation limit. Once if I'm giving the control signal is equal to U, which is higher than 100, U saturation means always 100. If they okay, so you got realize it. I'm not having the diagram. Okay, if you're having a control signal or followed by a saturation block, the input to the saturation is 120, output of the saturation block is 100. Okay, the input to the saturation block is U, output of the saturation block is US. Means 100 minus 120 means minus value will get it. TT is the tracking time constant. Okay, TT is equal to TI by 2. Here they have considered. There are several formula for the tracking time constant. TT is equal to TA I can use when I'm using a PA controller. TT is equal to square root of TITD when I'm using a PID controller. Okay, you can refer the book of Antonio Viziali. Okay, practical PID controller. You will understand that. Okay, in brief. Okay, so simply I have I told in orally. Okay, these are the structures of TT we considered. So what will happen if I consider this? I can able to go and reset the value. Means whenever you are using a PID controller, remember your KI or integral action should not be always present, which creates problem of saturation. So what I should do? We should limit the action of the integral action. Once if the controller goes to saturation, my integral action should be cut temporarily. Okay, to bring back the controller action. Else the integral action should be applied limitedly. Okay, this is what the statements given by Antonio Viziali. Okay, the integral action should not be always present. Discontinue the integral action. Once if the and we have to add it once if the error becomes normal. Okay, else we got to go for the conditional integrator. Okay, what is called as conditional integrator? The integral action value of action should be limited to some extent. Anyway, we are going to discuss it properly. Okay, these are the structures which you used Antonio Viziali as well as Watanabe Ito. Okay, so there is a structure of that. Okay, we have used F, and you can see here the wind-up action can be seen very clearly. You can see this is the wind-up action. You can see the controller action anti-reset wind-up. ARW means anti-reset wind-up PID. Okay, 2 degree of freedom, and you can see here suddenly once if the wind-up action happen, you look at what time 0, 3 to 4. You can see here 3 to 4 the system process output went out of control. See here it is oscillating because the actuator process variable is also oscillating. The manipulative variable is also oscillating. Okay, the same time scale you can able to compare. Okay, here the wind-up happen. Once if the wind-up happen, it oscillates between 0 to 100, or it stays there, or it comes down. You can wantedly we made that integral action that time. Okay, so there are some techniques. We used it just to show the difference between the normal condition and the actuator wind-up issue. This is the wind-up issue action, the dense blue line. You can see the process variable deviates from it, and we end up the wind-up action at 3.8. You can able to see at 3.8 the system output comes and settle with respect to the given set point, and it is tracking. Okay, and again here the wind-up happened at 5.2. You can see the 5.2, the system output went out of control. Once if the wind-up issue is addressed, I can able to get back to the process variable. Okay, similarly here, okay, 2 degree of freedom, PID controller. Wow, trial 2, this trial 1, trial 2. You can see between the 2.1 and 2.3, exactly 2.1 and 2.3, the system output went out of control. Okay, that means the actuator signal goes beyond 0, below 0 and beyond 100. Okay, this is the problem. This should not happen in the process industries. And we have proposed some issues with the PID controller. See here, the wind-up is happening, but still my controller can able, that means that my process variable can able to track with the set point irrespective of the wind-up issues. Okay, so process response is tracking with respect to the given set point change. See here, why this is happened at 2.8 something, I given a set point change. This is what I said. Once if the large error is happening, the wind-up issue will happen. I think I addressed it in the first slide, third point. Okay, so you can see here, this I given a set point change. Can you see what is the time? Almost 2.8. You can see the wind-up happen. That means once if the system error changes drastically with the real-time application, the wind-up happens. Okay, but here we made the solution for the 2 degree of freedom anti-reset wind-up. Hence, the system output is not going out of control. It can able to still, it can able to track once if the wind-up issue is happening. So here what we did, here the different plot we made it. Okay, so not here we plotted error as well as the controller output. Okay, we plotted because these are the concept of anti-reset wind-up. Okay, so we plotted error and the controller output together in a plot. Okay, blue is the controller output, overall controller output PID, because the controller action is based on the error signal. Okay, so this is the error and this is the controller action. You can see here. Okay, so there is a change in the error happened. Obviously, my controller output goes to the 0 to 100, and then it is tracking back here. This is the wind-up region. Okay. It can be observed that the final control element was released from its saturation quickly as possible as well to minimize the IAE for large reference set point change. That means we have implemented the solution for it, wind-up issue. So even though the blue line, which is the controller output, goes to the saturation, immediately it will be kicked back from the saturation stage. Okay, that means it is with the help of the anti-reset algorithm which you selected. So you can see immediately after reaching going to the minimum value, you can see this is the 0. Okay, so it has been pushed back to the nominal above 0. Okay, look at the scale, y-axis scale, 60 to 0, and below 0 it's going where the controller action, that means saturation happened, but it has been quickly sent back. Okay, within 2.6 seconds is a real-time result. Okay, 2.67 within 2.28. Okay, quick action has been taken by the proposed anti-risk windup, and these are the time domain as well as performance. Both I have mentioned it for the real-time system. Okay, so this is the another Jain system which you have in the laboratory. For the non-linear system, okay, it's industrial grade shell and tube heat exchanger. Okay, it's a proper non-linear system. That means it can be locally. I can able to obtain the model using you can see the system behind me. Okay, it's a heat exchanger. Okay, so fine. So it is like once if the system model is locally linearized in terms of first order system, once if the hot water flow rate varies, okay, the system will move from one operating point to the second operating region. Okay, you can see 4 rotometer. One is for the input cold water to the process tank, and this is the hot water inlet to the heat exchanger. So what is the heat exchanger? So it's majorly used in all process industries. Okay, dairy industries, chemical industries, all process industries has a heat exchanger. Even simple dairy industry, I'll tell, there is a process called pasteurization. What they do, the dairy product will be boiled to the higher temperature, and suddenly the temperature needs to be lowered. Okay, so that means they will heat it to the higher temperature and they suddenly lower the temperature. Okay, so the pasteurization that it happens in all dairy industry. Okay, they use the heat exchanger because the change in difference in temperature they are bringing is very high. Okay, so almost 10 degrees and above, more than 10 degrees. So in a short span of time, because the huge quantity of dairy products will be there, they cannot able to cool down that much quickly. So they use the heat exchanger process. Okay, or in the distillation also heat exchanger needs to be used. Okay, and to convert the vapor into the top product. Anyhow, so this is the process. Okay, process description. So I'll skip it time being. Okay, that is going to be the GP, first order process at that time. This is the actual process. This entire setup is represented here. Those mathematical model I obtained using any particular method. Okay, is called as GM. This is the controller. Okay, what we did, I'll show the response very clearly with respect to the anti-reset windup. The same 2 degree of freedom PID controller we implemented on the shell and tube heat exchanger. The same 2 degree of freedom H infinity based 2 degree of freedom PID controller we implemented for the non-linear process, because the previously I talked about the linear process. Now we are going for the non-linear process. Okay, this is the mathematical model which we obtained. Okay, this time the time scale what is given in seconds. You can convert it into minutes or hours if you want. Okay, fine. This is the PID control structure. Okay, simple IMC PID we have used. Okay, this paper is there in okay, with the title temperature control of a shell and tube heat exchanger using PID algorithm. I think in 2013 we presented this paper in London conference. It is available online. Okay, so you can see here, this is the real-time response of the shell and tube heat exchanger response. Okay, so here also the saturation problem happens, because how the saturation problem happens here with respect to the control valve. See here, this is the simple IMC PID. Okay, can you see, because in temperature process we cannot give set point changes like at 10, 15, 20, etc. It will take time. Okay, maximum if you're working with the real-time temperature process, maximum 3 to 5 degrees Celsius we can able to give. So well sufficient, because slow acting process, no, else your actuator will go to the saturation. For 2 or 3 degree only it is going. I'll explain here. I think all can able to track properly with the PPT and voice. Okay, so okay, so I presume all are tracking. I'm going ahead. If there is anything, you can chat and tell if you want to reduce the speed or something. Okay, fine. This is the you can see the dotted line is the set point. Okay, here I mentioned dotted line is the set point. The dark line is the process variable, and the dashed dotted line is the manipulated variable. Okay, this is the jacket coolant jacket temperature, the inlet temperature. You can see here I'm maintaining the temperature properly in line with respect to the set point. It's like a process variable. Means the outlet hot water of the heat exchanger is tracking the given 2-3 set point changes which are given. But see here the manipulated variable. Once if it is crossing the set point, your actuator starts oscillating. It's a reverse acting control valve. 0 means completely open, 100 means completely closed. You can see the dense action of controller action at this point, at this point, at this point. Look at all the point we given a set point change. Okay, at all the point we given a set point change. So the controller variable is oscillating too much. Okay, but once if we put the maximum sensitivity based 2 degree of freedom PID control, that's what I said, like H infinity based. Here how I'm bringing the H infinity based, we are bringing the maximum sensitivity function. I given a set point change of operation, but you see here the control variable is oscillating between 0 to less than 60, means 30% of the actuation is only happening to maintain the set point change. 30% of the action is only taken by the controller to make the this is not temperature, this is the manipulated variable. Okay, the student has made a mistake. MV is the manipulated variable, this is the temperature. You can see the control signal is acting very slowly, but I can able to do the tracking here properly. Okay, fine. And this is the fast acting process. So what we did, I have validated the anti-reset wind up scheme on the medium acting process, which is the flow, which I showed in the first PPT. Second, I showed the temperature process. We implemented the anti-reset wind up on the shell and to beat exchanger. It tracked properly, real-time result. Now we are going for the pressure process. Okay, why pressure is the fast-acting process? I want to check. See, when you are proposing an algorithm, it should be commonly applicable for all the kind of process: medium acting process, slow acting process, fast acting process. Okay. So we implemented this is the KPKD structure, and here we are using a saturation block, etc. We have used it, and see here, this is the result of the anti-reset wind up with and without anti-reset wind up for the process. Very fast acting process. It is a temperature process. We use the direct synthesis method of PID controller design. Anti-reset wind up is given by the green line, and the blue line is the set point. You can see here, the green line is the output with anti-reset wind up. The red line is the output. That means without anti-reset wind up, means a direct synthesis method. Okay, you can see the anti-reset wind up is giving better response. Not only the process variable, even the manipulated variable of the direct synthesis acting very violently when compared to the manipulated variable of the anti-reset wind up direct synthesis. That means the PID controller is the same. We added with anti-reset wind up scheme to that, or we didn't add an anti-reset wind up to the other scheme. You can be able to see these are all real-time responses, not the simulation responses. Okay, and then you can go for the modified Smith predictor. Okay, so this is in the Springer proceedings. I think 2016 it came. Okay, it's available in online. You can able to refer it. And modified Smith predictor algorithm. Okay, that means whenever the dead time is present in the system, we cannot go for the normal controller design with the PID. There is a technique called Smith predictor, which is proposed in 1957, almost 60 years, more than 60 years now. Okay, several research has been carried out on the proposed structure. This is not 1967 structure. The proposed first initial concept of Smith predictor is proposed in 1957 by Smith. Okay, the scientist Smith, and it henceforth it is called as a Smith predictor modifier. Okay, there are several modification has been made on the Smith predictor sector by Norman Rigo, Watanabe Ito. Okay, and there is a certain group of people, they work intensively on the dead time saturation problem. Okay, dead time problem. So they did, whenever the dead time is there, they go for the synthesis Smith predictor concept. We call it as a dead time compensator, DTC. Okay, DTC. Dead time compensator structure. Okay, several modifications are still happening in that area, and we have used the back calculation method, which is proposed by Antonio Vicioli. Okay, Antonio Vicioli has proposed this structure. Okay, there are several structures given in his textbook. You can go through it. Okay, C1, C2, which is the controller 1, controller 2. You can see what is C1, C2, C1, C2. Okay, the TT is see, this is the diagram which I'm talking about. This is the proper diagram of the anti-reset wind up. Everyone can look. This is the controller. Okay, whatever it may be, C1, C2, you block together as a single controller. Set point, error detector, controller. Controller output is given to the saturation block. See, U dash. U is the actual signal which may be higher than 100. Okay, U dash is the limited signal. That means if your signal is less than 100, whatever you are giving U is equal to U dash. If it is less than 100. If it is greater than 100, your U dash is equal to always 100. Correct? No, see, I'll repeat once again. If this U is between 0 to 100, there is no saturation happen. This is 0, this is 100. If it is between 0 to 100, it comes as it is output. So U is equal to U dash. In case if U is greater than 100 or less than 0 means U dash is equal to 0. Greater than 100 means U dash is equal to 100. So come here, what will happen? This is 120, this is 100. What will happen? 120 minus 120 plus 100 minus 20 into TT. Here it will go. It cuts the integral action. That means here I'm giving this connection only to the integral action. So that's what I called it as a limited integral process. Okay, it limits the integral action. I'm not cutting off the integral action completely, but I can able to suspend the integral action which is totally cutting off, or I cannot, without suspending, I'm going to limit the integral action because it goes with the negative term, because this is higher. 120 minus 100, okay, negative term multiplied by tt, 1 by tt, it should be 1 by tt, tracking time constant, and it is given here. So the integral, it will be connected here, means it is connected to the, with the negative sign, it is connected to the integral action alone, integral loop alone. So the integral action will be temporarily limited, okay, called as a limited integration. And this is one predictive PID control structure. Okay, so it was published in this title. Okay, so it was given, and this is the control structure which we have made. We can able to get better response for this structure. Yes. Coming to the end of the first lecture. Okay, so here you see here, you can able to see here the all the three manipulatory variables are given, all the three process variables are given. This is the conventional PID controller. Okay, let us start with the simple PID control structure. You can see this is the PID control structure. T oscillates between 0 to 100. Okay, any one, if you are getting the result like this in real time, okay, the results are not much appreciated by the process control community. Okay, results are not appreciated by the process control community. Your control action should be smooth. Initially, it may oscillate, but it should reach steady state. See here, see here. Okay, I'll go in reverse. Okay, this is the PID. Once I'll tell the problem caused by the oscillating manipulative variable. It is oscillates between 0 to 100. My process variable will also oscillate. Can you see a lot of oscillations in the process variable around the set point? Okay, a lot of oscillations in and around the set point. Okay, that is because the integral action is continuous. That means control action is constantly varying between 0 to 100. Okay, we went for the modified back calculation method proposed by Antonio Visioli. So you can see the process variable is better than the previous one. Okay, it's like proper tracking without much oscillation. So remember, in process control, do not get satisfied with respect to the tracking of the process variable with respect to the set point. Always you should go for the minimum energy of the actuator. That's the title I given. Okay, for all the pilot plant operations which you are operating with the PID controller, controller should not oscillate between 0 to 100. That is not a good controller. Okay, the good control engineer or the good process control engineer should design a controller where the process variable should get settled with the minimum energy of the actuator. Remember, with the minimum energy of the actuator. For me, that means that depends upon case to case, it will vary. Once if I am concentrating very much on my process should settle very fast, obviously my control action should be fast. Okay, that means my effort made by the controller should be very high to make the process to settle with a very minimum settling time. But when you're going for the performance side, if you want to optimize the energy, okay, apply a minimum energy constant for a long time, I can able to get that. Okay, I can able to raise the temperature of a particular product by giving a higher supply or keep it with the minimum supply for a long time. I can able to slowly achieve the particular temperature. Okay, the minimum energy is very, very important. Okay, you can see here the back calculation method. Okay, the point which I want to stress is do not compromise yourself with respect to my process variable settling with the set point. My job is done. Okay, so you should not go like that. Try to minimize your actuator minimization because this is an industrial problem. Okay, so when you're working on process control, it's industrial problem. Okay, so what you should do? You should not operate it. The process industry runs for 24/7. Okay, so 6 months it will run, 1 month it will be in shutdown. For example, I'm telling. Okay, so once if the control will operate like this, not for 1 day, because in the process industry they won't change the set point often. It will, one set point will run for a long duration. So think once your control value is operating like this for the entire 6 months, what will happen? Valve will get rupture. Okay, control valve diaphragm will get rupture. Okay, so that these are the reasons. Okay, so I should minimize it. Here it is okay to some extent, but once if you went for the modified Smith predictor, okay, we got better response. Even we got better response than this now is the predictive PA. Okay, with the relay based modeling. Okay, remember, so for all the process control application, your controller works properly if your model is proper. Okay, if you fundamentally do have your model wrong, do not blame the controller. Okay, in process control, don't blame the controller blindly. Okay, so look at the model way you obtain the model. Okay, so we should not simply put the blame on the controller. This controller failed. Okay, first we should concentrate on the way we identified the model. Model validation should be done. Once if the model is proper, which you have in the hand, then we should go for the control action. Otherwise, our inference on the controller will be wrong. Okay, so that we should take care. Okay, fine. And okay, so sorry, it went fast. And see, these are the Okay, for real time, what we calculated, okay, model based controller, okay, so modification predictor, back calculation method, okay, PI controller, okay, so we can able to analyze it. The settling time we can able to see from this table, and you see this is the predictive PI control algorithm response. Looks like a simulation result. It's a real time result. You can see the y axis 10 into 10 to the power 4, 7 into 10 power 4, 7 into 10 power 4. Okay, so this ultimate response which you obtain for the conical tank response looks like a simulation. Look at the controller action. Okay, so there is no oscillation. Okay, it like comes like a simulation manipulated variable. Look at the process variable. Just to damping, it follows the quarter decay ratio. Okay, when you're going for a PID controller, you should know what is quarter decay ratio. Okay, the first peak should be at one particular value. The second peak should be 1/4 of the first peak. Okay, it should decay in that way. We call it as a quarter decay ratio. Okay, it's a well-established tuning rule which is available. Okay, your controller is good means it should follow 1/4 quarter decay ratio. We operate it at for different operating region. For everywhere we are getting a very smooth operation. Okay, and this is the physical setup which I have in the laboratory, and I shown initially. Okay, this is the. Can anyone put the message? Can you able to track properly, listen properly? So okay, so organizer, moderator, just any update. So how it goes? Just you want to.
Sir, it is fine, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, good. So okay, so you can see here this is the control valve actuation, and this is the conical tank. What we did initially, why we made this setup cascaded. So initially we had the pump here. This conical tank was given with the pump. Okay, now I'm going into the nonlinear. First I showed with respect to the single flow process station result I showed. Then I showed the result of the heat exchanger real time. Now I'm coming for the conical tank system, which is completely non-linear by virtue of virtual display. You can able to identify. Okay, the area of the tank is going to vary continuously. Area of the tank is going to vary continuously. Obviously, the system is non-linear. Remember, because of the dimension of the process, the system is non-linear, not because of the reaction which is happening. There is no reaction. We are using only the water. Okay, so the dimension of the system makes the process non-linear. Okay, so there are two things. The system may be linear. The action which is happening inside the linear part may be non-linear. Okay, in case of CST or batch factor, but here the dimensionally it is non-linear. Okay, simple way we define non-linearity. Okay, we use the actuator pump means once if the pump is going at between 0 to 100, suddenly it will rise, suddenly it will drop. Okay, so what will happen? That's what I said. Initially, I used one word. There are some limitations and certain advantages of the control valve. Okay, there are some limitations means non-linearity that I can. Okay, I put the valve positioner 30,000, then I can able to reduce the non-linearity. Okay, this is a DST project fund. I have the control valve positioner here. Okay, proper control valve. Okay, industrial grade control valve with industrial grade valve positioner. So if the pump is operated due to the sudden rise and sudden fall, the tank level will be suddenly raised and dropped. Okay, but when you put a control valve, the actuation will not be sudden rise or sudden drop. It will linearly increase or linearly decrease, because when I use a mass spring damper system, it's a slowing process. Okay, the control signal is 3 to 15 psi. It's a mass spring damper kind of system, so it will be like a slow manipulated variable action. So it won't rise it like electrical system. Okay, so we cascaded the flow process station output with respect to the input to the control with respect to the conical tank input signal. Okay, we cascaded these two processes. Okay, and see here, this is the conical tank. You can see the non-linearity. So I will explain how the non-linearity comes here. There are different region. Okay, second region, third region, fourth region. Okay, we identify different model. You see here the second region or third region, it works properly. Third region, it works properly without any much oscillation. Okay, and oscillation. But once if you're coming to the lower region, you can see the oscillation starts, because the model identified and controller designed is for this region 28 to 33. I think previous slide I showed, right? 28 to 33. Okay, right. So that region it works properly, but below that it is oscillating. That's what you should understand very clearly. We cannot model a system as a single transfer function or a single state space, because a nonlinear process, what it has multiple operating points. It has multiple operating point. It has multiple model, multi-model. Okay, multi-rate model we call. Okay, so we should go for the nonlinear. That is also we tried. That means what we did. That's the reason we should go for the nonlinear controllers. Okay, for different operating regions, operating mode, and or nonlinear way you identify the model. Okay, so this is the work done for the conical tank system with the relay-based model identification. Okay, relay is a non-linear term. I said no. Relay, saturation, hysteresis, okay, viscosity, friction, everything will go. Okay, now so class of nonlinearity is there. So here we model the system using a relay-based operation. We identify this model. Okay, you can see here we got the perfect. That means. See, we should not compromise once if we get a good result with one particular method. We should try to get better response with the simple PID. Okay, there is a professor called Professor. There is a group of professors working in the PA controller in Indian domain. Professor Dr. M. Chidambaram from IIT Madras. Okay, so what he designs, whatever, if I say like one group says like if you are getting a conventional controller with this particular advanced control algorithm, professor will try with the simple PA and try to get the same response, similar response. Okay, there are a certain group of PID all around the world. They work only with a PA control structure and they can able to get, okay, so equivalent advanced control algorithm result with the simple PID. Okay, so you can see here, okay, it comes like a simulation response. Previously, what I showed is a predictive PA response, but here with the conventional PA, we can able to get the better response. Means we have identified the exact model using different techniques. Okay, do not go for a two-point method to what is that cross reaction curve. Maybe for initial understanding, okay, but when you're coming for the real-time process model identification, implementation of control algorithm, go for a standard worth identification method. Okay, there are several in literature. We got a better response. See here, okay, we given a set point change with there is no overshoot or undershoot. Okay, there is a one overshoot, it got settled. I applied a load again, one overshoot got settled. Look at the manipulated variable, it reads steady state. That is very, very important. Okay, what the title I given? What is the title I given? Okay, so actuator energy minimization and optimal use of actuator. That means actuator energy minimization and optimal use of actuator. See, I'm using my actuator optimally. That means it oscillates and the actuator output comes around 45 or 46 settled. When I give a set point change, it raised. Okay, it raised again to bring the level. Once the level brings here, again it becomes constant. Okay, temperature, pressure, flow, level, anything you work, our actuating signal should be steady state. Until then, you have to rework. Okay, until then you have to rework. There is no other option. Or tune it. Identify where you made a mistake, and we should minimize it. Okay, like a good control engineer will not give leave the manipulated variable oscillate for long. Okay, simple. Okay, fine. So end of first presentation, I'll go to the second presentation. So we deeply acknowledge the financial support which we received from the DST Government of India. We completed this project in 2017. Okay, so these are the, see, this is the book which I said. Okay, Antonio Vicioli, Modified Smith Predictor, and sorry, it's a paper. He has written a textbook also. Okay, so this is the major papers of Antonio Vicioli which we followed for the anti-reset wind up. As I said, Wade and Zhang, I said, from China. Okay, so Wade and Zhang, they worked on this paper. Okay, so I think this group is from Italy. Okay, so okay, so Metasec. Okay, this is also very good. The Metasec. Okay, MR Metasec. The group worked extensively on the modified Smith predictor. Okay, Metasec. Okay, Watanabe Ito, I said. Okay, Watanabe Ito. So I said like 2000. See, long back 81. Okay, still people are working on that. Okay, the same group is also working. Okay, you can see the Watanabe Ito paper till 2007 something I have seen the last paper. Okay, O. James Smith. Okay, fine. So that predictive PA said no, that is the Pasi-Arica paper. Okay, Pasi-Arica paper. That group worked with the predictive based PID, not predictive on the MPC based control structure. It's like a different concept of predictive. As I said, that Professor M. Chidambaram sir paper, you can see here. Okay, so relay auto tuning identification. Presently, the last result which he have written is also relay auto tuning of identification. Even he written recently has written a textbook on relay based identification with the Springer publication. Okay, so PID control for cascade. Okay, so whatever advanced control algorithm, people will get the result. Professor will get the same result with the simple PID controller. Okay, and Somnath Majhi is with IIT Guwahati. IIT Guwahati EC department. He extensively worked with the daytime process and the integral process. Okay, so I'll finish my first PPT by this time. If there is any quick questions, I can able to take 2 to 3. Then I'll move to the next PPT, which is in the other area. Okay, anti-reset wind up, I'm closing with this. Okay, I'll give to the, if there is any quick questions, I can able to take and answer it. Feel
Yes,
free,
sir,
any questions you can.
Yes, sir, there is one question from Chandrasekhar from Coimbatore Institute of Technology. He
Okay.
asked, how can we design tune controller for multi-modal process?
Go for non-linear model. Now go for non-linear controller, because multi-model means region is varying from one region to the another region. Okay, so you should capture the dynamics of the non-linear system in a proper way. There are two ways to address this. Question. First thing, you capture the model properly. If you can able to capture the non-linear model for a wide range, I can able to design a single controller which operates for a wider region. That means if you capture the model for a wide region, my one controller will act properly. Second question, the second way of addressing, you model all the, you go for a non-linear controller. Either you model the system for a wide range, or you go for the non-linear controller which operates for a wider region. Okay, it's a standard problem in process control, because distillation, batch reactor, heat exchanger, conical tank, spherical tank. Okay, all these processes are encountered with the same problem. Okay, it's not the new problem. Okay, the multi-rate model is available for a long time. There are two ways: either go for the advanced control identification method to capture the model for a wider range, or go for the nonlinear controller design. Simple. These are the answers.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Please.
Okay.
Sir, he asked a question. Like, then how controller is switching can be done?
What? Controller?
How controller switching can be done?
No switching. If you're going for non-linear controller, why switching? If you're going for gain scheduling, it is switching. Gain scheduling controller. There is a concept called gain scheduling controller. What we will do? These are old concept. Gain scheduling is old concept. Okay, that means now the pure gain scheduling is old concept, where there are some recent papers with advanced method. Okay, but there is a they call it as a gain bank of controller. Okay, the same gain scheduling concept. What they should do based on the error. Okay, once if the error is varying from one region to the another region, if the error is maximizing, what is the control objective? Always I should keep my error minimum. Okay, have a bank of controllers. Once if the error range is increasing, okay, it should be like a lookup table. When the error is positive or negative, for the positive minimum error, this is the controller. Positive maximum error, this is the controller. Positive very max error, like a fuzzy. What we do in the fuzzy, we put a positive, 0, negative, different value. We put accordingly. I have the gain. Okay, accordingly it will be selected. Go for the fuzzy controller. Go for the similar way. I can able to do it in the PA controller also. Okay, that means the shifting, there is no transient should not be seen. If the transient in bump plus transfer problem will occur, the PID controller is famous for this. Bump plus transfer control should not happen. That means the switching should not be effectively seen in the process variable output or in the manipulative variable output. Okay, so
okay,
you should go for the gain bank method. Adaptive controller, MRAC is the model reference adaptive controller. Once the plant is dynamically varying, my controller is going to vary dynamically. MRAC, these are all standard methods available. Solution is there. Yes.
Yes, sir. There is another question from Sumalata. Sir, how to deal with wide swing in operating points like load changes in boiler?
No. Yeah, just can you repeat the question?
How to deal with wide swing in operating points like load changes in the boiler?
Load changes in the boiler. So see, normally when you're going for the boiler operation, it's a critical control. Okay, there is no possibility. That means whether they are doing it real time, you check with them, because it's a critical control system is applied for the boiler. Okay, everywhere there is a multiple loops has been provided for the level measurement, temperature measurement, pressure measurement in the boiler, as well as the input flow of the boiler. Okay, so once if the level is changing rapidly, either with respect to the input which is coming to the boiler. Okay, so we can able to identify it, and we can make a proper control before it affects the process variable. I'm very clear with this, because we have heard some of the process industries what they do it for the boiler, because it comes under safety critical operation. Okay, so the maximum load changes swing will not happen in, because they have the several critical loops. It will stop it before the variation which is affecting the load. Just please check with them whether they are working it in the real time or in simulation.
Yes, sir. She told it is level process.
No, level process means they will be simply in the laboratory purpose. If they are doing, no, they won't go for that critical safety control system because it needs lot of amount of investment.
It's simulation
So,
itself.
that's what in practical they should look into the various aspect of putting the many control loops for it, because the simple control loop will not work. They should not simply tell like I'm heating the process, developing pressure, I use this particular method. Okay, they should go for the safety critical loops. Multiple loops should be kept for the process. They are specially calling with the name boiler.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Please continue.
Okay. Okay. So then I'll go for the second PPT. I'll stop the presentation. I'll open the other one. Please wait. Can you able to see the PPT?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So participants, just so far we discussed about the simple PID control algorithms. As we know, as I said, PID is still being used, and there are some certain point PID will not give better response. So PID is a very good controller, no doubt on it. Okay. So, but when you're going for some certain non-linear process with the constrained operation, the performance of the PID will be poor, but we can able to improve. And once if you're going for the advanced control algorithm and linking with the PID. Okay, so here we went for the GMC controller just to okay, just I'll talk about the GMC controller, general model control, generic model controller, before going to the other advanced control. And it's going to be one way of a self-tuning controller. Okay, so control of shell and tube heat exchanger using GMC and adaptive control. So as I said that the shell and tube heat exchanger, already I told what is the overall application. You will come to the point once again. And in this presentation, I want to stress for half an hour on GMC control and adaptive control concept. Adaptive control means what? What is adaptive? The system should get or the controller should get adapted itself for the changes happening in the plant. There should be some self-tuning should happen. Self-tuning of PID controller they call. Okay, self-tuning of PID controller. Okay, so most of the industrial process are non-linear. Okay, there is no second thought in it. Most of the industrial process are non-linear. Conventional linear controllers are not suitable for non-linear system. Conventional linear controllers are not suitable for non-linear. I think this is the one way of addressing the question of Chandrasekhar from GIT. Okay, so linear controller operates for one operating point. Heat exchanger, if I vary the hot water flow rate, I can be able to get multiple model, multi-rate model I can able to get. So hence the linear conventional controller are not suitable for non-linear controller. So to control the nonlinear system, advanced control strategies are required. Okay, advanced control. This I'm going to talk about the GMC and adaptive control structure. The nonlinear system chosen for this particular project implementation of GMC and adaptive is the shell and tube heat exchanger system (HTHE), are relatively easy to use experimentally, and they express nonlinear and non-stationary properties that represent general process control difficulties. Okay, so if you have a proper industrial grade heat exchanger, you can able to address all the maximum problems which we encounter in the process, because temperature process constraints are there, cool and flow rate is the constraint. Okay, even you can work with the MPC and MPC for the shell and tube heat exchanger process. Okay, so the modeling of the shell and tube heat exchanger, either we can do linear or non-linear way. Analysis of a GMC and adaptive controller, simulation of process model in closed loop with the GMC and adaptive controller, we implemented on the physical system. And this is the kind of work which we started in 2013. 2013 we are working on this concept. Okay, so 2013 we started working on this control for the shell and tube heat exchanger. See the paper by comparison of a model-based and conventional controllers of pilot plant heat exchanger by Rochelle Royendat. Okay, so Oklahoma State University, US. So PMBC, okay, process model-based controller. They started with that. Then we started communicating with themselves. And you can see self-tuning controller, Bobble, Dostal and Bobble. These are the two authors extensively worked almost from way back in a decade back. Okay, so they are working on the self-tuning controllers. for the non-linear process. There are some contents we have noticed. Okay, you can see just you start counting. Okay, bubble, bubble dostal are almost the same group. Okay, one paper of bubble, one paper of dostal and bubble, second paper, and this is the third paper, fourth paper. Okay, fifth. Okay, so you can go through the title also. Okay, they applied for the polynomial adaptive control for the Schilling to bit exchanger. They worked with the Schilling to bit exchanger. Okay, so you can see there are some comments given by the Bhopal and Dostal for the respective papers. Okay, so see again Dostal, Bhopal. Okay, simulation of slit and they worked on CSTR. Okay, CSTR process. See again Valdemar, Bhopal. So continuous time self-tuning controller. Okay, so this is again Bobel et al. For non-linear process using two methods of parameter estimation. Okay, again Dostal, again Bhopal. Okay, so just what I want to convey, not the author names, just I want to say the one particular group has worked essentially on the self-tuning controllers. Okay, and the inference is what they said from all the literature survey, whatever I showed. When you are going for the industrial grade Schilling to bit exchanger control problem, you should not work with the static controller. Remember, when the process is dynamic, your controller should be dynamic. I should not put a static controller for a dynamic process. That is the case with the conical tank also. Area of the tank varies continuously. System is dynamic. I cannot put a static controller and blame the controller is not working. That's what I said. The problem selection, model identification selection is very, very important. We cannot simply put the blame on the controller, which is wrong from the author side or the people whom they are working on it. Okay, so remember here the process is going to be dynamic, hence I need the dynamic controller. Okay, you can see here I'll explain the process. First understand the process, then we go for the control of it. Okay, so heat exchanger, I'm giving the hot water inlet and it passes through the copper tubes and it is coming out. Remember, the heat exchanger, there will be separate copper tubes and separate flow for the hot water and separate flow for the cold water. Both will not get mixed, but it will one goes surrounding the copper tubes. Okay, so this is the hot water is going in one hot line. The blue is the represent the cold water, which is going in other line. You can see here I put it with the dense light blue. Here I put it with the dark blue. Means it is become hotter than the inlet. And see here there is a dark red. That means the hot water is coming in. When it goes out, it becomes a light red. That means the heat has been lost. The amount of heat lost by the hot water is equal to amount of heat gained by the cold water. It's a Schilling to bit exchanger, distillation, batch reactor, all are interdisciplinary research. Okay, mechanical people can work with the design, chemical people can work, instrumentation people can work, all are interdisciplinary area. Okay, fine. So so mechanical people will tell, mechanical engineers should appreciate what they do. No, they won't use the, here I use a straight copper lines, no, to carry the hot water. They put spiral copper wire or they put the helical copper wire. So what will happen? The contact of the hot water pipe with the cold water, that means the contact of the hot water with the cold water will be more. That means if I put a straight line, it comes. Once if I put here, no, directly it flows all around and it comes down. Once if I put it as a spiral or spherical, the residence time of the hot water in contact with the cold water will be more. The residence time of the hot water inside the Schilling to bit exchanger will be more, means we are giving more opportunity to have the cold water which is circulating around the hot water. So the heat transfer will happen very fast. Okay, that's the mechanical design they work. Okay, so we can always join with mechanical engineer work for the process control application. We can do some wonders. Okay, so the Schilling to bit exchangers are probably the most common type of heat exchanger applicable for a wider range of operating temperatures and pressure. Okay, so mainly maintain the outlet water temperature at a constant level. Okay, these are operational little simply. If I'm putting a hot water, for example, 60 degrees Celsius is going in. I want it at 45 degree. See, 15-degree loss, I want it in a 2.5 feet. Okay, I have a Schilling to bit exchanger which is a 1 meter. Okay, 2.5 feet. So 15-degree loss, I want to make it with 2.5 feet. Okay, so how I can able to make it only by forcing the cold water flow rate around the circulating around the hot water. It's possible within 2.5 feet we can able to drop the temperature by 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. It depends upon the cold water inlet temperature also constraint. Make a note of it. Okay,
So whatever temperature in goes in, I have to open. I have to get the output hot water at a constant temperature. So then now come to the problem, control problem. Temperature of the outlet water of shell and tube heat exchanger is the process variable of interest. Then what is the manipulative variable? Coolant flow rate inlet. If the coolant which is sending in is the manipulative variable. Simply I will explain. My set point is 45. Okay, my set point is 45 degrees Celsius. My process variable is at 40. Whether I should permit the cold water or not, set point is 45. Process variable is at 40. Whether I should permit the obviously no water should, because if the water goes, it carries away the heat further. Stop the cold water, then the temperature will slowly rise. Once if it is crossing 45 and going above, okay, 45, 46, 47, 48, then the valve should open, permit the cold water slowly. The heat transfer will happen. Once if the heat transfer happen, 45, 46 will come to 45, goes below 45, then valve should get closed. Got the point? This is the concept. See here, the generic model controller, we have not identified the mathematical model using a transfer function approach or a state space approach. We build the first principle based model. First principle based model means U is the okay. Second law of thermo, third law of Newton, I think that okay. So UA delta T. That means MC rho P is equal to UA delta T. FC rho P is equal to UA delta T. FC rho P is equal to UA delta T. If it is a constant mass, they call it as a CSTR, means M rho Cp is equal to UA delta T. Here F means the flow rate, because the flow cold water is flowing in. So I replace the M with the F. Okay, M rho Cp delta T is equal to UA delta T. U is the overall heat transfer area, heat transfer rate. Capital A is the overall heat transfer area. See here, there are 4 temperature, no? Inlet hot water, outlet hot water. Inlet cold water, outlet cold water. 4 temperature. See, I used all 4 temperature. H means hot water, C means cold water. Or hot water outlet temperature plus hot water inlet temperature divided by 2 minus outlet of cold water plus inlet of cold water divided by 2 multiplied by UA is equal to F rho Cp cold water inlet and outlet temperature. Now, all these 4 temperatures are readily available in my hand. UA are known. What is the unknown variable? I'm using water density rho is equal to 1000. I don't know what is F. Remember, I don't know what is F. Okay. Now, I'm rewriting this equation in terms of F. Just arithmetic manipulation we have to do. Rewrite this. Okay, I'm rewriting this. Okay, I'm rewriting F is equal to UAC. F, where is the F? Here. Okay, F if I'm going means UA divided by rho Cp will come. Correct? No, UA divided by rho Cp. 2 I took it as a common factor. See here, both the denominator 2 are common. Take it as a common factor. Okay. So what will happen here? I rewritten this F in terms of, then how to identify the F value? How to identify the F value? Because I'm using a control valve. If the percentage of input of the valve is opening, the flow rate of the valve will get vary. Okay, the percentage of valve is opening, the flow rate of the valve will vary. We have to relate that and use this formula. See, the cold water valve inlet has equal percentage characteristics. What control valve I have in my laboratory is equal percentage valve. Therefore, the flow rate and control signal can be related to. Okay, control valve can be identified. Relation can be F is equal to M naught e power mu into U relation. See what I'm going to do. Okay, you keep. We have experimentally identified. I'll take this value. Time being, you get this relation. Replace in the F value. Substitute in this place. So what will happen? M naught e power mu U is equal to UA divided by 2 rho delta Cp. This is the formula. And I want to get this U and a control signal U. This is the overall heat transfer rate, capital U. Control signal is small u. Okay, I want to get this. What exponential term? Take ln, logarithmic, natural logarithmic. U is equal to, rewrite the equation. M naught also went to this side. Okay, ln of 1 by beta. So this is the control signal. Okay, using first principle method, we got the control signal. How to identify constraint? We should know this parameter and this thing. Now there is no transfer function shown. Okay, once if the temperature measuring is varying, model is continuously updating. So once if the model continuously varies, my control signal varies automatically. See, this is the control signal U. Okay, inverse model, and this is the simple block diagram. I'm using an inverse response model along with the PA controller. I will go back. So you see here concept of GMC. Hope you have understood this. Anyway, these are all standard books available for the heat transfer, mechanical heat transfer area. You can, if you go through this basic principle with respect to the heat transfer, you can able to identify these formulas. Little bit we are integrating those concepts with the process control. Okay, fine. So you can see T target is the set point, Y measurement is the actual set point. Correct? Now this is the set point is T target. Okay, what is the measurement is the actual output, which I'm adding it along with the PI control. This is what written in this form. Y measurement plus KI, set point minus error. See, related to this diagram, set point minus error into this controller. So this controller is given by this K. Okay. Okay, so model is not exactly true to the process, which is the case in all the real-time process. All the pilot plant will have the same process. Now see here, I expanded this Y measurement, Y target as it is. What is this error? Okay, I'm K1. I'm expanding it as a see, this is the K1. This is K2. Okay, sorry. This is K. Oh, sorry. Equal to is there. This term I'm expanding it as a PA controller. Means a KP. That is a KP value. K value with respect to the error. I made it as a PA controller. See here what we did. We used the model identification of the actual control valve in the laboratory. What we did, see, I'm fitting it to the nonlinear function. Okay, these are the percentage of control valve. These are the output which I'm getting it from the control valve. Okay, liters flow which you measured. Okay, so you see here, the blue is the actual data which you obtain with respect to the control valve. The red line is the fitting which you have done. So I got my mu naught and beta value. Okay, I am not and beta value. Substitute here. I know no. See here. Look at this. What I said mu naught beta. Now I got this value. Mu naught is there. Beta is here. I can substitute those two values. So if all other parameters are known, yeah, obviously U is known, A is known, rho is known, Cp is known. All the four temperatures are measurable. If you know the what is it, mu naught and beta, my control signal is ready. Then further what is going to vary? All these four temperatures are going to vary. My control signal is going to keep on updated. Okay, so this is the control signal which we have generated. See, all these values are substituted. Okay, that is all the values we substituted with respect to the physical system. See here, all we calculated. See, four unknown are the temperatures. If the temperatures keep on varying, I'll get my U. So I came to the multi-rate model. Means whatever flow rate I give, wherever the temperature goes, I can able to get the control signal. The control signal is going to vary in line with respect to the model changes. Okay, control changes. Okay, these are the adaptive control concept. Okay, and we use the linear regression. Okay, we use the linear least square regression, regressive least square algorithm, ARX model to obtain. Okay, so but this is the project which we did in 2013. Okay, so. Okay, fine. So we are keep on improving it. That is different case. Okay, ARX, NARX, RMAX, etc. We are routing. Okay, so nothing to explain. Okay, based on the past input output, I can able to get the phi. What is the coefficient which you are going to get with respect to the past input and output data? A1, B2, B1, B2, etc. are the coefficients. Okay, objective function is to minimize the error, square error. Okay, so that means I have to keep on update this ABC value until I have to substitute these two and put the Y value as minimum as with respect to the original system. Then only I can able to get my error is equal to minimum. Once if the what I'm telling is your actual identified model of the process should be equal to the true model, then your error will be very less. Least square least regression. Okay, then my model is that means I'm not going for transfer function. I'm not going for state space. Online I'm calculating, minimize the error as it is, then go for the controller action. Okay. So this is the parameter estimation. What is the parameter estimation? In the previous case, I said no, A0, A1, A0, B0, or I fix the structure. Plant should be in this form. Then the plant, this means I am assuming the plant is a second order process. Then I should estimate parameter estimation. Because all the four temperatures are measurable, so I don't want state estimation. I want only parameter estimation. A0, A1, B0. I should keep on measuring it. So these are the arithmetic calculation which you calculated. Okay, these are all standard method for the least square estimation. Okay, so how to calculate the F filter form. Okay, so and this see whatever I said. Okay, because there initially when I said here, I represented in a generic way. I represent A1, A2, B1, B2. But I restricted it here. When I fix the structure, I have only three parameters. So I should form the structure with only, I should do the ARX model only for the three parameters. Okay, only for the three parameter. Okay, linear, extended linear model. Okay, extended linear model. Okay, ELM means extended linear model. Okay, so you see here, we operated as a 2 degree of freedom. Okay, 1 degree of freedom. I'll show the 2 degree of freedom very soon. P by Q. Okay, so See here. Okay, so once if you are calculating that these are all ARX model, you should be assuming you are aware with the ARX model. I'll go ahead. Okay, we cannot explain the ARX model here. It's a standard procedure. You can go through any reference material. Okay, always the denominator should be higher order than the numerator. It's a fixed. Okay, for the realizing the system. That's what we are doing here. Okay, so yes, sir, because actually it is like so numerator is second order, denominator coming as a first order. Then we are approximating it with one more yes. Okay, the denominator and denominator becomes equal, and the polynomial as the form. That means proceed further. I can able to get my n of s as a n1 and n0 are the two unknown parameters. How to calculate n0? A0 is known. A0 is known. No, that means the previous parameter estimation. Square root of a0 square is n0. What is n1? Which involves a0, n0, and a1. Substitute here. I'll get the n1. We're getting this already. I said what is PS and all previous slide we have discussed. Okay, what is a DS? N into M. What is N and M? Numerator is called as N, denominator is called as M. Okay, complete this, get the S polynomial. Okay, rewrite this in terms of parameter computed from the spectral polynomial A of S. What is A of S? I'm rewriting it in this form of A star, N star. Okay, so here I'm getting N of S. What is this N of S? Which involves N1, N0. I mentioned what is N1, N0. Substitute over here, get the form DS finally. Once if you are getting the DS, NS. What is NS? Already I said. Okay, wrote in the previous. Substitute over here, I can able to get it the similar way. DS polynomial, I will get it. Lambda is alpha is going to be the tuning parameter, and then I'm going to put all the ARX model in the form of a matrix form. Look at these are all plant parameter. These are all control parameter. These are all plant parameters. These are all control parameter. I'll show it in the next slide. So see B are the system dynamics. Okay. So here we convert it into 2 degree of freedom, P and R. So same characteristic equation we have to write. Okay. For the system, for the block diagram, we got to write the characteristic equation. Okay. So simplify it as the previous equation said. Apply the partial fraction to linearize it around an operating point. Okay, so you can refer the paper which you published or the standard procedure. Okay, to get the linear form. And this is the Q and R. So what is a Q and R? 2 degree of freedom I said. So Q and R involves all the controller parameter. G is the plant which involves A and B parameter, and Q and R are going to be the 2 degree of freedom controller which forms your controller structure. Okay, just I'll go to the, these are highly mathematics. Just I'll skip to the result. Directly see these are all plant dynamics, these are all controller dynamics. Controller dynamics, how to get the parameter with respect to the right hand side equation, d1 d0 d1 d2 d3. Okay, so which involves the plant parameters also, a1 a0, which is known. So p0 is calculated with the d0. Okay, so if I know this right hand side, see if you multiply, all other elements will become 0, only p0 is equal to d0. The same way, just you can write the expression for p0 p1 q0 q1. That's what we did here. Okay, simple arithmetic manipulation, substitute one over another, we can able to get it. And this is the controller action. As I said, P1, P and Q and R, we are going to use it with the controller. I said this is what we have formed. The U is the control signal. Okay, so this is the simulation result. You can see here. So when we are initially working, we identified model, but when I'm going for real time, I don't have any model. Okay, so that means initially to validate before starting the real time. No, how I get the plant model. So we modeled it, but later when we implement the controller, we never used any transfer function model. Okay, because in the simulation, I don't have the 4 temperature input and output. So there is no input. How I can validate the model? Then we identified the transfer function. We simulated proportional integral controller. It worked properly. Okay, then we went for the adaptive control algorithm. Okay, so these are all the step changes we given with the different alpha value. We're getting better response. This is a manipulated variable. These are the real-time results, model parameter variation. Okay, model parameter variation. So once if the plant dynamic is varying slowly, when I physically change the hot water flow rate, no plant parameter changes, then controller parameter changes obviously. This is the control parameter variation online. There is no simulation. There is no, once if the adaptive self-tuning controller, once if the process dynamics varies, automatically my controller varies. Okay, but there are some limitations on this. So okay, but there are some limitations that you want, once you are working, you will understand. Okay, so this is the simulation result. Okay, and this is the real-time result, and you can see the control parameters are varying. Okay, even here we varied. See, this is the real-time response of the heat exchanger. Okay, second non-linear output I am showing it. Okay, See here, this is the set point. Can you see the green line is settling? See temperature process without oscillation, I'm making it to settle, which is once if you work, you will know. Okay, because once if the manipulated variable is not constant, the temperature process, you can't able to make the process variable settle. But here you see without oscillation, it has been with the generic model control, it has reached steady state. Then I given a step down, then it is acting it. Because remember, you can ask like once I given a set point change, how it is increasing and decreasing. Because temperature process, it don't. It's like a tubelight and fan. Once if you switch off the light, immediately it will get switched off. Once if the fan is running, you switch off. Whether it will stop immediately, it has its own momentum. It will rotate for some time, then only it will stop. Same way, once if you switch off the heater supply, the rise in temperature will not constant because that it will be already in the rising mode. It will increase. Okay, temperature will increase. Then after some time, it will take time to detect the temperature as that means the supply to the heater has been stopped and it won't. The energy by the heater will not be released. Okay, then it was oscillating and then it settled. Can you see it properly settled? Okay, so we applied the same GMC controller for the conical tank system. Okay, so we got a better response. See here. Okay, this is the controller action. Once if we vary the set point change, there is no second controller. Somebody asked no multi-rate model. Only one controller I have. There is no transfer function of the model. There is no proper fixed controller. Once if the model set point change I given, directly my controller will vary. Okay, so see this is the plant parameter, model parameter variation. Once if I vary the set point change, suddenly my plant parameters will vary. Then my controller parameter will vary. Like output will go to the steady state. This is based on the discrete time optimization. You can see properly settling, right? See, discrete gives better response than continuous. Remember. Okay, see these are all continuous. You can see here it's oscillates. But when you go for the discrete mode, we implemented the controller. Okay, you see the proper response we have obtained. This is the plant parameter, and this is the controller parameter variation online. Okay, this is the pressure process. Means see whichever algorithm I make, I try to simulate with the fast acting process, medium acting process, slow acting process. Conical tank is medium acting, pressure is fast acting, temperature is slow. Now this is the second case, pressure. See, it oscillates more. Okay, so controller also oscillates. Model parameter varies, controller parameter varies. Okay, so this he made a mistake. The results, I think he put a wrong results here. It was 0 only. You see that wrong result. The parameters. Anyway, I have the PPT. It was like varying. You can see here. See here it varies. Not at 0. It is keep on varying. Can you see? Keep on varying. Positive and negative controller parameter. Not controller structure various parameter or keep on varying. Okay, you can see the variation. Once if set point change is given, suddenly it varies. See, 1000 it varied, 2000 it varied. See, 1000 it varied to 2000 because I given the step change. So it's varying. Conclusion, self-explanatory. We cannot compare the GMC result with the PID. It gives extreme result. Okay, one way. Okay, so applied on the conical tank, temperature, pressure, flow, good tracking, performance, etc. All we obtain. Okay, feature scope. We'll see what we told feature scope. MIMO process we won't implement it. Okay, fine. So we're in the progress, and you can see the papers which we followed for this. Okay, so Grimble, MJ Grimble, this is also proper author, Bhopal, Dostal, and mostly we referred Bhopal and Dostal papers. Okay, so these are all some. Okay, it was done. It was went up. It was like. Okay, thank you. I'm completing my second presentation. So if there is any quick questions, I can able to take.
Thank you for your session, sir. There are some questions from audience.
Yeah.
His controller design depends on hardware controller processing time.
What? Controller design?
His controller design depends on hardware controller processing time.
Nothing like that. Nothing like that. Why there? What is the doubt? So
whether the controller design is depends on hardware controller processing time. Like hardware means DAC system, whether it depends on DAC or.
Oh, that and that, see those things you should make it properly. It should work. Your DAC system should be proper. There is no doubt. That means why we are using DAC analog system signal should come into the PC with no time. Whatever control signal which you are giving, that should go with respect to the no time to the process. That's all. It's a communication medium. That's all. Convert the signal into data. Communicate with your PC. Whatever data given by your PC should be converted into signal given to the analog system. Okay, that is like nowadays in this era that is not a problem. So with respect to the physical system, if you are talking, you should understand the physical system properly. If you can able to model any system properly, you can able to control it. If your algorithm, if you write properly, it should work. Okay, not with respect to the DAC. Yeah, tell me.
Yes, sir. There is another question. how we implement VHDL code for PID controller.
Which one? Which one?
How we implement VHDL code for PID controller.
So I'm out of scope. I'm not working on that. Sorry, I am working purely on process control. If there is any question, I can answer on process control. I'm not aware of it. Yes.
Okay, sir. That's it for the question, sir.
Okay.
Thank you for your session, sir. It was very informative session.
Okay.
The broad way of practical system analysis has been given clearly.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, audience, for attending the fourth session of 1 week FDP on control theory and applications. Tomorrow's session will be taken by Mr. Hitesh. He is giving industrial experience of control theory.
Okay, Sharath, thank you for giving the opportunity. I would like to extend my special thanks to Professor Dr. Narayan Iyer, always my mentor, one of the mentor. Yeah, so I'll express my gratitude to him for always available for any doubt clarification with this. I express my thanks to Dr. Rushil Rohit for the concept and Dr. Jay Prakash, Anna University, for the continuous support rendered for various control implementation on the pilot plans and continuous support and guidance. I thank all my mentors, Professor Dr. Shisha sir, Professor Josh sir. So I thank my institute, parent institute, for providing the experimental setup facility for carrying on the research. My special acknowledgement to DST and ISRO for their funding towards the experimental setup which we have and going to establish. Thank you one and all. Thanks for the good opportunity. Hope you have learned something. If there is any doubt, you can write to Sharath or itrsu1881@gmail.com. For any doubt on process control, you can write to me. I can write to others. Okay. Thank you, participants. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.